How you doing, everyone? Welcome back to NRL Fantasy Analysis. Got a couple of things to go through in this video. First one here is the Sharks and the Dogs game from last night. Unfortunately, we missed out on the trial of the Titans and the Warriors. So a few things we wanted to have a look at on the Titans side. Obviously, their spine getting another game together. It probably actually hurts both teams in their preparation for sure. With both of them finally putting together their best squads pretty much. So I think that might hurt them a little bit for round one. So from a betting perspective, have a look into that. But we'll pop into the Sharks and the Dogs first, and then follow that up with a little update to my team and where it's at right now, and then a couple of the guys that I'm hoping to see in Team List Tuesday, or a couple of guys on the fringe of my squad currently. But we start with the Sharks side of things, and they played a really, really good game of football. Just running hard lines. Feel like they had a lot more of the aggression in this one, and a lot more sort of control and direction in this game than what the Dogs did. And if you're a Dogs fan, it's nothing too much to worry about, but I think it's going to take them a bit of time during the season to get things right, get the combinations right. Obviously, Burton's going to be great. Getting Addo-Carr into the game, they looked pretty solid at the start. To be fair, they had a couple of good attacking plays that Sharks kind of defended pretty well, apart from having, I think they had 3 or 4 sets on the line before Burton went over and scored. But overall, I think not too much to worry about. They won't. I don't see them being a top 8 team, whereas I see Sharks being a clear top 6 team there. And that showed. They have a lot of depth, and we go with someone like Will Kennedy. I think he's just going to be a bit up and down. Like they have a lot of more attacking weapons this year. Him being their player of the year last year, he had a lot more to do himself. So with that being spread around, the park there, you've got obviously, if it's Trindle and Hines, you've got some firepower both sides there. They can use the edges in the Cora. If it's going to be Graham, fingers crossed he didn't do his syndesmosis. We're not exactly sure on that one yet, but they have a lot of attacking weapons in the centers and wings as well. So will he score super well? I think he's going to be decent, but will he outdo his current average? I'm not sure at this point. Raymond just did his thing, but I really liked Mulatalo when he moved into the centres as well. If Trindle is in there with Hines, I don't see that being too much of an issue for Nico. His kicking game was really solid. That was the biggest part for me, was just seeing that. He had a nice chip, sort of a 30 to 40 metre chip over the top, put a little bit of backspin on it. The sat just in the in goal. Just showing a little bit of his talent with ball on foot. I think he was really solid, Nico, in his 50 odd minutes, getting the 36 points, a nice try assist to Nikora. So you can see that being a bit of a theme this year. And kicking goals was really, obviously didn't have too many tough ones, but he's just going to be someone that's going to score in multiple areas. And I think he's a really solid pickup in your side at the wing fullback, halfback dual position there. If we're looking at Brenton Nikora, I think he's also going to be solid. Will he score above his average? There's a chance of some value for sure if he builds up a really nice combination with Nico. And then going into the rest of the team, guys like Ikavalu, be interesting to see where he ends up. If he ends up with a spot on the bench as a utility, I don't think will happen. But if that happens, I think you can get him at a cheaper price, for example. Fafita played some big minutes, and I doubt he's going to get that in round one. Yes, they have McInnes out, so there's someone that could give him some type of opportunity in the squad, but a lower minute role similar to last year would be him his kind of role, I'd say, going forward. Royce Hunt was obviously great as well, but where's the space in this team for both of those guys? For example, I've seen a couple of people putting Royce in their team now, Fafita as well. So keep an eye on them and how that team looks. And obviously, if there's a bunch of injuries through the year or before round one, then they could become an option for sure. But at this stage, it's probably all on the Shark side. I really just wanted to watch for Nico Hines on that one. Okay, we move to the Dog side of things, and you look at Dufty, for example, and he was solid, right, without being super duper incredible at all. He had a couple of nice passes early, didn't lead to any tries. Shoop or Shop, how do we say that? I heard him say Shop last night. I'd have that as S-H-O-P or S-H-O-P-P. So Shoop I'm going with for Aaron. A few people have mentioned Naden. He's never been fantasy relevant. Don't pick him up. Burton was solid again, 35. Got a try. Didn't run the ball too much. They obviously didn't have the ball a lot. That's probably the only worry with Matty, is that how good is their team going to be? Is he going to be a better option come later in the season? But if you look back at his scores, when he, even though the team never went amazingly well when Burton played in the halves with Luai, pretty much every game that he was kicking the ball, so he was in complete control of the side, which he will be in this one. He was scoring over 50 every time for the Panthers, and that was even in a team that wasn't doing amazingly well. They were in games, but they'd win the odd one, lose the odd one there. So for me, with Burton, that dual position for someone that can average, that has a potential to average mid 50s to 60, there's definitely some value there, and I wouldn't be opposed from picking him up. He's currently in my squad, and he's owned by 30% of the team. So if you decide to go against him and he does score really well above that 60 mark and controls everything and has the goal kicking, then you might miss out. But if, obviously, is he someone that you can see scoring under his, what he's priced at? I don't see it. So there's really limited upside to not start with him. But obviously, if you feel like you can make your team a lot better without him, without that 593k, then you can do that as well. Marshall King was there, did his thing. Jackson did what he needed to do in this game. I wouldn't be worrying too much about him. Max King with some nice fantasy points again, so I'll be happy to see him on the bench, and I'll be picking him up for sure. Tevita Pangai Jr. is the one to worry about. For me, I see the upside, right? There's the minutes upside for sure. And what we saw at Panthers at the back end of last year is what really drew me into Tevita. And seeing what happened in the game last night, if you didn't watch it, he was just in all of the scuffle. He was throwing, grabbing jerseys, ripping jerseys, just getting into all the bullshit that we don't want him to get into. If he gets in and knuckles down, runs the ball hard, offloads well, then he's going to be worth a lot of money. And at 680k dual position could be really good. He could be someone that gets up to that 800k, and that's kind of the value that I was seeing in him. But if I'm honest, I didn't see the improvement that I was hoping. The stuff that I saw at Panthers is what I was looking for, and I didn't see that last night. It was in a trial game, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't need to be playing like that. And if he's going to be in my team, that's going to frustrate me so much. Yes, the 19 points, it is what it is, right? He did get sin bin, so we take off add on a bunch of those points again. But the suspension risk, just for doing stupid stuff, is my biggest worry. And I think he's going to annoy me having him in my side. I feel like I could probably spend the 680 elsewhere. Like, it's so hard to be able to make a full team. They're a really solid, good team with guys that are undervalued. I could probably find a little bit more value elsewhere at this stage. And that's where I'm going, which we'll have a look at my team in a second. But yeah, there's a couple of guys I was looking at. It was obviously Burton, Tevita, and someone like Max King to see if he could do it again like he did last week. So if he's on the bench, Maxi, I'll be picking him up. Burton, I've got in my team currently, and we'll jump over into that now and have a little bit of an idea, guys. I'm obviously just doing this in the head-to-head on the head-to-head screen. So this is actually the team. I've just been playing with a random team. It's not exactly my team. These are the guys I really like. So it'll be a version of this for my round one team, which you will see definitely after team list, guys. So don't stress too much about that. But where I'm looking at the moment, obviously a few changes from my last update. Kobe Hetherington is someone that I think at that price point with the dual position, in a hooking position, it's a bit odd. Like, I want Harry Grant, if I'm honest. I want him on my team. I just don't want to. I really am someone personally that really struggles in that first or second week. I just don't feel like I get as lucky. Some people do, obviously. If you can end up in that top 2K in the first week, then great. I think I've only done it 1 year, and the year I did that, I came, I think, 50th overall, for example. Usually I'm battling a little bit at the start. So I feel like having 17 really good players, using the majority of my cap is going to be ideal. So Hetherington's my man at this stage, at that price point, 50, 55, whatever minutes he can get. I think he can get somewhere in the high 30s to 40. And I can use that money that I would give to Grant, for example, somewhere else, whether it be with Payne Haas, for example, who I'm setting and forgetting for Payne. And then I've obviously got a fair bit of money up top. Arrow's in there currently at 554k. I don't see him having any downside. So at a minimum, he's going to be dual position mid edge. He's going to be scoring at least 43 points, you'd imagine, on the edge in some. And if he has some minutes upside, if he gets over that 72.5 minutes that Jaden Stewart had last year, then I think there's some nice upside somewhere between the 7 to 10 points, around that 50-ish average. So that's where I'm at with him. I just don't see the downside. He tackles well. He's going to be on Cody Walker's side, you'd imagine, on the left, which he's going to get some decent ball, maybe a couple of tries to add to it, which he didn't really get last year. And if Murray spends some time on the sideline, for example, then I can see Arrow moving into the middle as well. So you can either play bigger minutes on the edge, or he moves to the middle a little bit. splitting between and getting that 55 to 60 minutes, which I think has a tiny bit of upside compared to what he was playing last year. Stefano, he's moved back into the squad more just because I think I've been able to move a few guys around and fit both Arrow and Stefano in. He's got the upside, right? Can you see him averaging lower than where he's priced at, around that low 40s? I don't think so. He should be I think he definitely is their most important forward outside of the edge in Luciano Leilua. So he has some upside for sure. He could turn into that gun, and even if it's 50 to 100k extra, then you're making some value on him in a pretty important position in the mids. Okay, a couple of questions marks in the edge position. Fermor, I wanted to see him play, so not getting that opportunity, I think he's definitely a bit of a risk. The reason he's in my side at the moment is I had an extra 130k, I think, so I just upgraded one of my 340k guys to him. I popped it in there because if he does get that big minute roll on the edge, he's going to score really. He should be scoring fairly well. He's obviously a bit more volatile, but he's being what Jamin Jolliffe said on the pod with TK, that he's definitely the fittest guy in the club, so he has that ability to play the big minutes. Aiken's been a set and forget. Very simple. He can move into the centres if I decide that that's a better idea. Cleary still is captain if he's playing round one. Kurt Mann, I think I'm going to slot him in there. He's going to have the dual position as well. I'm not going to play Origin. He's someone you can keep for the majority of the year and plug a few positions for sure. At this stage, Tago is going to sit in my squad, dual position as well. I think we're really high on that this year. Someone I haven't got in my team right this second is Penasini. Just hasn't worked out. I've moved Amon back in. I think he's just got so much talent and in a half position where, yes, Hunt's going to be controlling the team, but he has that X factor, Amon, and he's got some nice guys on his left, for example. He's got Sully out there who's very damaging. If you can get him early ball, he might be able to get a few try assists as well, and just has terrific footwork. So that's someone I've popped in and haven't got. I suppose I can move any of these guys from Penasini, but I'm just going to wait for team list to come through. For that one, Burton's still in the squad, as I spoke about. Hines, I really like. I think he probably has a little bit of upside. Not too much, but I think you're pretty safe for him, kicking goals, being the number 7 in this Shark side. He's going to be pretty solid. He should be getting the try assists, the tries himself, goal kicks, kicks in general play, running meters, tackles. He's going to do a bit of everything, and I think he's pretty safe to get around that 50-55 mark. For Nico, Stephen Crichton, again, when everyone's back for the Panthers, he's going to get attacking opportunities, which he didn't get on the weekend. Same with Tago, for example, and both fairly solid defensively. Rocco Berry, again, a bit of a placeholder. I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen there. Maybe I can play Pereira if he gets the starting spot. Robert Jennings is the same thing on my bench if he can possibly get the starting spot. I could play any of those guys in that position. I could bring in Penasini. There's a few things to do. As I said, it would have been nice to see Rocco play. Also, Bo play this weekend in the trial, but didn't get that opportunity. So we'll make those decisions closer to team lists. I suppose the other question is, what other guys was I looking at in these positions? The questions was I could downgrade someone like Fermor and pick up, if Pap was available round one, I could try and go with Hines and Pap at the back, get rid of a Berry, for example, and strengthen that up a little bit. And that would still mean that my edges are fairly strong. I could play Tuolangi if he happens to get the start. Obviously, a few things to think about. I chucked out Bullymore at this stage as well. I think I wanted Amon over Bullymore, but someone like Carl Lawton could be interesting if he's getting 4 weeks. I'd be selecting him at 400k. There's definitely a few different options there. And on the bench again, we're a lot of placeholders at the moment. Guys, I think that will be making the team. Jennings, a great chance of getting that wing spot. Ilias will be starting, playing as a scoring player. Randall will be playing as well. Tuolangi, if he's starting, we'll play him as well. And then Amon, I think you got to play him also over someone like Pereira, who I think is going to do solid and make a little bit of cash, but more chance of Amon scoring well, I think, than Pereira. And then Walters if he gets the 6th spot as well. So that's currently where the team's at, in my thoughts. I think it probably looks a lot better than I showed up the other day. But again, as we know more and more, we're going to find out exactly what where these guys are going to be playing in their teams, exact roles. And I'm looking for guys with probably a little bit of a safer approach. To be fair, I hate picking up a guy and they pick up a bad score or two at the start. That's probably something you guys should also think about. Is if they're picking up a bad score in the 1, 2, 3 weeks, our brains want us to trade them out, right? And we're like, you made a mistake, you're an idiot, trade him out, right? So if you can pick guys that have very limited downside and some upside, whether it's 5 to 10 points, whatever that is, I think you're going to do pretty well, and you won't make rash trades. And I suppose my question, my thought process in this exact stage is, I obviously want Harry Grant. He's going to be very much a priority over the first few weeks. So if I can't, obviously you're not going to start with him in round 1. Then round 2, 3, or 4, I think will be really important to get Grant in. And there's going to be a suspension. There's going to be an injury. There's going to be someone that doesn't play too well. And we could probably upgrade and do a downgrade somewhere. Using a bunch of trades early is completely fine to pick up the guys that you want. That is for sure. So other last thing to mention is I didn't talk about the Twitter that I'm going to be start tweeting out a little bit through the season, just my thoughts in different games, bit of a quick one here and there. So if you want to jump in there, Jamie NRL Fantasy, down the bottom there, you'll see on the bottom right, and also jumping into the Discord, and the league code is there as well. Also subscribing and liking this video would be perfect. As I said, I'm going to announce some of the prizes soon. I think they're going to be pretty cool. And we'll catch you in the next few videos. I still have to add the mid-range for fullbacks as well. So we'll do that in one of the next videos. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. We'll catch you in the next one. See you later.